The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and fading roses, but Elena Harper's hand, frail yet warm, gripped Sarah Nguyen's with a fierceness that defied her fading pulse. Outside, Seattle's skyline glittered through the window, a city that had once bowed to Elena's empire, but now stood witness to her final battle. "Promise me," Elena whispered, her voice a fragile thread. "You'll protect them." Elena Harper, once a titan of tech, had built a fortune from nothing, her name synonymous with innovation and ruthlessness. At 58, her auburn hair now streaked with silver, she lay in a sterile bed, her body betraying the fire that still burned in her emerald eyes. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer had stolen her strength, but not her will. Beside her, Sarah, 42, her partner of a decade, sat with her heart in her throat. Sarah's short black hair framed a face that carried both grace and grit, her brown eyes locked on Elena, memorizing every fleeting moment. Their love had been a quiet revolution. In a world that often turned its back on women like them, they'd carved out a life of fierce devotion in Seattle's liberal embrace. Elena, the billionaire who'd shattered glass ceilings, and Sarah, the social worker who'd spent her life mending broken souls, had found each other at a charity gala 10 years prior. A single dance had sparked a love that weathered boardroom battles and societal whispers. Now, with Elena's days numbered, they faced their greatest challenge, the quadruplets. The girls Lila, Mia, Nora, and Ava were 4 identical 16-year-olds with chestnut curls and defiant spirits. Orphaned at birth, they'd been shuffled through foster homes, their bond the only constant in a world that had failed them. Elena had met them 6 months ago at a youth outreach event Sarah organized. Something in their fiery resilience, their refusal to break despite their scars, had pierced Elena's guarded heart. She decided then, against all logic, to adopt them. "They're us," she told Sarah, her voice trembling with conviction. "They're fighters." The adoption had stunned Seattle's elite. Why would a dying millionaire take on 4 troubled teens? Whispers of publicity stunts or legacy building swirled, but Elena didn't care. She saw in the girls a chance to leave behind more than money, family, a purpose. Sarah, though hesitant about the chaos 4 teens would bring, had agreed, unable to deny Elena's dying wish. The girls moved into their sprawling lakeside mansion, a world of marble floors and chandeliers that felt like a foreign planet to them. Lila, the unofficial leader, was sharp-tongued and fiercely protective, her hazel eyes always scanning for threats. Mia, the dreamer, hid her insecurities behind a sketchbook filled with fantastical worlds. Nora, the rebel, wore her anger like armor, her piercings and dyed streak of blue hair a middle finger to the world. Ava, the quiet one, observed everything, her silence masking a mind that pieced together truths others missed. Together they were a storm, and Elena's mansion was their uneasy harbor. The first weeks were a clash of wills. Lila challenged Elena's authority, spitting venom about rich saviors who'd abandoned them. Nora snuck out at night, testing boundaries. Mia retreated into her art, while Ava watched, her silence louder than words. Sarah, exhausted from balancing her job and Elena's care, struggled to connect with them. But Elena, even as her body weakened, refused to give up. She'd sit with Lila, matching her fire with calm resolve, recounting her own battles as a queer woman in a cutthroat industry. She'd coax Mia to share her sketches, marveling at her talent. Nora's rebellion met Elena's stubborn patience, and Ava's quiet found solace in Elena's stories of her own lonely childhood. One night, as rain lashed the mansion's windows, Elena gathered the girls in the library. Her voice, though weak, carried the weight of a lifetime. "You're not just sisters," she said, her eyes burning. "You're a legacy. You'll carry each other when I'm gone." The girls, for once, were silent, their defiance softened by the truth in her words. Sarah, standing in the doorway, felt her heart ache with love and fear. How would they survive without Elena? By the end of the first month, cracks in the girls' armor began to show. Lila started lingering after dinner, asking Elena about her tech empire. Mia painted a mural in the guest room, a gift for Elena. Nora stopped sneaking out, and Ava spoke her first full sentence at the dinner table, a shy question about Elena's childhood. The mansion, once cold, began to feel like a home. But the clock was ticking. Elena's doctors gave her weeks, maybe days. Sarah clung to every moment, her love for Elena a lighthouse in the storm. Then came the bombshell. Elena's estranged brother, Richard, a vulture in a tailored suit, arrived at the mansion. He'd been cut out of Elena's life years ago after a bitter feud over her coming out. Now, smelling opportunity, he challenged the adoption, claiming Elena was unfit due to her illness. "Those girls are a liability," he sneered, his lawyer at his side. "You're dying, Elena. You can't play savior." The girls overheard, their fragile trust shaken. Lila's fists clenched, Nora's eyes blazed, and Mia's sketchbook fell to the floor. Ava, silent as ever, stared at Richard with a look that could cut glass. Sarah fought back tears as she faced Richard. "You don't know them," she said, her voice steady despite her breaking heart. "You don't know us." Elena, too weak to stand, gripped Sarah's hand, her eyes fierce. "This isn't over," she whispered. The girls, watching from the shadows, felt something shift. For the first time, they weren't just fighting for themselves, they were fighting for Elena, for Sarah, for the family they'd never dared hope for. The courtroom was a battlefield, its polished wood and stern air a stark contrast to the chaotic emotions swirling within. Richard's lawyer, a slick man with a predatory smile, presented documents questioning Elena's mental capacity, painting her as a delusional woman clinging to a fantasy. Sarah sat beside Elena, who was wheeled in, her frail frame draped in a tailored blazer that couldn't hide her fading strength. The quadruplets, dressed in unfamiliar formal attire, sat in the back, their faces a mix of defiance and fear. Lila's hand shook as she whispered to her sisters, "He can't take us. Not now." Mia clutched her sketchbook, sketching furiously to calm her nerves, while Nora's jaw tightened, her piercings glinting under the fluorescent lights. Ava, as always, watched, her silence a storm of unspoken thoughts. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair, listened as Richard's lawyer argued that the girls belonged in foster care, not with a dying woman and her unstable partner. Sarah took the stand, her voice steady but laced with raw emotion. She spoke of Elena's vision, her love for the girls, and their decade of building a life together. "We're not perfect," she said, her eyes meeting the judge's. "But we're a family. Elena's given them a home, a future. Don't take that away." The girls, hearing Sarah's words, felt a flicker of hope. Lila reached for Mia's hand, a rare gesture of vulnerability. Elena's testimony was brief but searing. Propped up in her wheelchair, she spoke of her life, her rise from poverty, her battles as a queer woman, and her choice to adopt the girls. "They're not a liability," she said, her voice cutting through the room. "They're my legacy. They're proof that love can rebuild what the world breaks." The judge's expression softened, but Richard's smirk didn't falter. He had a trump card. A private investigator's report alleging the girls' troubled past made them unfit for Elena's wealth. The report was a gut punch. It detailed Lila's fights in foster homes, Nora's run-ins with the law, Mia's anxiety, and Ava's selective mutism. Richard's lawyer waved it like a flag, claiming the girls were damaged goods who'd squander Elena's fortune. The sisters sat frozen, their worst fears laid bare. Sarah's heart sank, but Elena's eyes blazed. "Enough," she snapped, her voice stronger than her body. "They're not broken. They're survivors." That night, back at the mansion, the girls unraveled. Lila stormed to her room, slamming the door. Nora punched a wall, her knuckles bleeding. Mia's sketches turned dark, jagged lines replacing her usual whimsy. Ava sat by the lake, staring at the water, her silence heavier than ever. Sarah found them one by one, her social worker instincts kicking in. She sat with Lila, listening to her rage. She bandaged Nora's hand, absorbing her defiance. She praised Mia's art, coaxing her to keep creating. With Ava, she simply sat, letting the silence speak. Elena, too weak to leave her bed, called the girls to her side. "You're not what they say," she told them, her voice a whisper. "You're stronger than their lies." She shared her own past abuse, rejection, the years she spent hiding her truth. The girls listened, their walls crumbling. Lila admitted her fear of losing another home. Nora confessed her guilt over past mistakes. Mia showed Elena a sketch of the 5 of them by the lake, a family. Ava, in a voice so soft it was nearly lost, said, "I don't want to leave you." The next court date loomed and Sarah devised a plan. She contacted Elena's old allies, tech moguls, philanthropists, and community leaders who'd seen Elena's impact. They flooded the courtroom with letters of support, testifying to her character and the girls' progress. The girls too prepared. Lila wrote a speech, her words raw but fierce. Mia created a portfolio of her art, a visual story of their bond. Nora, with Sarah's help, drafted an apology for her past, vowing to change. Ava, in a moment that stunned everyone, agreed to speak. The courtroom held its breath as Ava took the stand. Her voice, unused for so long, trembled but grew stronger. "Elena and Sarah gave us a home," she said, her eyes on the judge. "Not a house. A home. Don't take that away." The room was silent, the weight of her words sinking in. The judge adjourned, promising a ruling soon. As they left, Elena reached for Sarah's hand, whispering, "We're not done fighting." Back at the mansion, the girls rallied. They began organizing Elena's charitable foundation, a project she dreamed of but never launched. Lila took charge, her leadership shining. Mia designed a logo, her creativity blooming. Nora researched grants, her energy focused. Ava wrote a mission statement, her words precise and powerful. They wanted to prove they were more than their past, that Elena's faith in them was justified. Sarah watched, her heart swelling with pride and grief. Elena's time was slipping away, but the girls were rising. The judge's ruling came on a gray Seattle morning, the city cloaked in mist. The adoption was upheld, but with a catch. Sarah would be the primary guardian, as Elena's health made her unfit to hold sole custody. Richard's challenge had failed, but his venom lingered. He vowed to appeal, his eyes cold as he left the courtroom. The girls, though relieved, felt the weight of his threat. Elena, now confined to a hospice bed in the mansion, smiled weakly. "We won," she whispered to Sarah. "For now." Sarah felt the victory's fragility. Elena's condition worsened daily, her once vibrant frame now a shadow. The girls, sensing the end, spent every moment with her. Lila read Elena's old business journals aloud, her voice steadying as she absorbed Elena's wisdom. Mia painted a mural in Elena's room, a vibrant scene of the lake at sunset. Nora, softer now, played Elena's favorite jazz records, filling the mansion with warmth. Ava sat by Elena's side, holding her hand, her silence a quiet strength. Elena's foundation became the girls' lifeline. They poured their energy into it, naming it Harper's Hope, after Elena's vision of empowering marginalized youth. Lila spearheaded outreach, contacting shelters and schools. Mia's designs gave the foundation a bold identity. Nora, with her street smarts, connected with at-risk teens, her past a bridge to their trust. Ava's mission statement, eloquent and heartfelt, became the foundation's heart. Sarah guided them, her social work expertise shaping their efforts. The work gave them purpose, a way to honor Elena. But Richard wasn't done. He leaked the girls' past to the press, painting them as delinquents exploiting a dying woman. Tabloids ran vicious headlines, and social media erupted with cruel speculation. The girls, once invisible, now faced a city's scrutiny. Lila's temper flared, but she channeled it into a press conference, her speech a fiery defense of their family. "We're not perfect," she said, her voice shaking but strong. "But we're hers." Mia's art went viral, her mural a symbol of hope. Nora faced her old demons, speaking publicly about her journey. Ava, in a quiet interview, shared their story, her words cutting through the noise. The backlash hit Sarah hardest. Her co-workers questioned her ability to raise 4 teens alone. Her family, long distant, sent cutting emails, echoing Richard's disdain. But Sarah drew strength from Elena's love and the girls' resilience. She organized a community rally for Harper's Hope, turning the narrative around. Hundreds gathered at the lake, holding signs with Mia's designs, chanting for love and family. The girls stood together, their bond a shield against the world's judgment. Elena, now too weak to speak much, watched the rally from her window. Her eyes, though dim, shone with pride. That night, she called Sarah and the girls to her side. "You're my miracle," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Keep fighting." Sarah sobbed, holding Elena's hand, while the girls clung to each other, their grief a shared heartbeat. Elena slipped away at dawn, her final breath a soft sigh, the lake outside glowing with the first light of day. The mansion felt empty without Elena's fire, but the girls refused to break. They threw themselves into Harper's Hope, determined to make her dream real. Sarah, grieving but resolute, became their anchor. She navigated Richard's appeal, hiring lawyers with Elena's fortune. The girls, once lost, found purpose in their work. Lila mentored teens, her leadership fierce. Mia's art inspired donations, her talent a beacon. Nora's outreach saved lives, her redemption a quiet triumph. Ava's words, now flowing freely, gave voice to the voiceless. But Richard's next move was crueler. He filed a lawsuit claiming Elena's fortune, arguing the girls were unfit heirs. The legal battle drained Sarah, who juggled grief, motherhood, and court dates. The girls, fearing they'd lose everything, worked harder. They organized a gala for Harper's Hope, inviting Seattle's elite to see their worth. Lila's speech, Mia's art, Nora's passion, and Ava's quiet power stunned the crowd. Donations poured in, and the city rallied behind them. Sarah, watching, felt Elena's presence in their strength. The lawsuit loomed, but the girls had one final card to play. Ava, digging through Elena's files, found a hidden letter will Elena had written, naming the girls as her heirs and detailing her love for them. It was a bombshell, but would it be enough? As the court date approached, Sarah and the girls prepared for the fight of their lives. Their bond forged in love and loss, ready to face whatever came next. The courtroom buzzed with tension, a storm brewing under its fluorescent lights. Sarah stood tall, her hands steady despite the grief that still clawed at her heart. The girls, now 17, sat behind her, their faces a mix of defiance and hope. Lila's hazel eyes burned with determination. Mia's sketchbook lay closed, her focus on the judge. Nora's piercings were gone, her rebellion softened by purpose. Ava, her silence now a choice, held a folder with Elena's will, her trump card. Richard's lawyer, smug as ever, argued that Elena's will was invalid, written under duress during her illness. He painted the girls as opportunists, their foundation a scheme to siphon Elena's wealth. The judge, her face unreadable, listened as evidence piled up: bank records, witness testimonies, and tabloid clippings. Sarah countered with Elena's allies, who testified to her clarity and love for the girls. But the will was the key, and Ava's discovery was their last hope. Ava took the stand, her voice steady now, a far cry from the mute girl of a year ago. She read Elena's will aloud, each word a testament to their bond. To Lila, Mia, Nora, and Ava, Elena had written, "I leave my heart, my home, and my legacy. You are my daughters, not by blood but by choice." The courtroom was silent, the weight of Elena's love palpable. The judge called a recess, leaving Sarah and the girls in limbo. Outside, the girls rallied. Lila organized volunteers for Harper's Hope, turning grief into action. Mia's latest mural, a tribute to Elena, adorned a community center, drawing crowds and donations. Nora mentored teens, her past a bridge to their healing. Ava, now the foundation's voice, wrote op-eds that shifted public opinion. Sarah, though exhausted, marveled at their growth. They were no longer the broken girls Elena had found, they were warriors. Richard's appeal dragged on, but the girls' work with Harper's Hope gained momentum. They opened a youth shelter, funded by Elena's fortune and community support. Lila led with fierce precision. Mia's art brightened the walls. Nora connected with residents, and Ava's speeches inspired change. Seattle embraced them, their story a beacon of resilience. Sarah, balancing motherhood and legal battles, found strength in their unity. The turning point came unexpectedly. A former colleague of Elena's, a tech mogul named Clara, testified about Elena's final days. She revealed private conversations where Elena spoke of the girls as her redemption, her reason to keep fighting. Clara's testimony, paired with the will, swayed the judge. Richard's case began to crumble, his lies exposed. But he had one final play: a public smear campaign, accusing Sarah of manipulating Elena's fortune for personal gain. The accusation stung. Sarah, who'd given everything to honor Elena's legacy, faced doubt from strangers and friends. The girls, furious, fought back. Lila confronted reporters, her words sharp and true. Mia's art became protest pieces, plastered across the city. Nora organized rallies, her passion infectious. Ava wrote a letter to the press, signed by all four, declaring Sarah their mother in every way that mattered. The city listened, and Richard's campaign faltered. As the final court date approached, Sarah and the girls prepared for the worst. They gathered at the lake, where Elena's ashes had been scattered, and made a pact. "No matter what," Lila said, her voice fierce, "we're family." Mia nodded, her sketchbook filled with their story. Nora, softer now, vowed to protect their home. Ava, holding Sarah's hand, promised to keep speaking. Sarah, tears in her eyes, felt Elena's love in their bond. The judge's ruling was a shock. Not only was the will upheld, but Richard's claims were dismissed with prejudice. Elena's fortune belonged to the girls, with Sarah as their guardian. The courtroom erupted, the girls hugging Sarah, their laughter mingling with tears. Richard slunk away, his power broken. Harper's hope would thrive, Elena's legacy secure. But the girls weren't done. They had one final act to honor. Elena planned so bold it would stun the world. As they left the courtroom, Lila whispered to Sarah, "This is just the beginning." The city, unaware, braced for what came next. The Seattle skyline glowed under a rare clear sky, a fitting backdrop for the girls' audacious plan. Harper's hope had become a beacon, its shelter thriving, its mission spreading. But Lila, Mia, Nora, and Ava wanted more, not just to preserve Elena's legacy, but to redefine it. They stood by the lake, now 17 and hardened by loss and triumph, their bond unbreakable. Sarah, their rock, watched with quiet pride, her heart still heavy with Elena's absence. The girls' plan was unveiled at a gala for Harper's Hope, held in Elena's mansion. Seattle's elite filled the ballroom, their curiosity piqued. Lila took the stage, her presence commanding. "Elena gave us a home," she said, her voice clear. "Now we're giving it back." The crowd gasped as she announced their decision. They were donating Elena's entire fortune, billions to Harper's Hope, creating a national network of shelters for marginalized youth. The mansion would become the flagship, a safe haven for those like them. Mia's murals, projected on screens, told their story, for lost girls transformed by love. Nora introduced the first residents, teens she'd mentored, their faces bright with hope. Ava, now a confident speaker, shared Elena's vision, her words echoing with purpose. Sarah, standing beside them, spoke of Elena's dream and their family's fight. The crowd rose, their applause deafening as donations poured in, amplifying the girls' gift. The announcement shocked the nation. Headlines called it reckless, noble, unprecedented. Social media buzzed with awe and skepticism, but the girls didn't care. They'd faced worse foster homes, Richard's lies, Elena's death. This was their defiance, their love letter to Elena and Sarah. The shelter opened its doors, filled with teens who saw the girls as heroes. Lila mentored with fierce care, Mia taught art, Nora led outreach, and Ava wrote their stories, giving voice to the silenced. Sarah, now their legal mother, found peace in their purpose. She walked the shelter's halls, seeing Elena in every corner, in Mia's murals, in the laughter of the teens, in the girls' strength. The pain of loss lingered, but love had won. The girls, once broken, were now builders, their bond a testament to Elena's faith. Years later, Harper's Hope spanned the country, its shelters a lifeline for thousands. Lila became its director, her leadership fierce. Mia's art adorned galleries, her story inspiring. Nora, a counselor, saved lives with her empathy. Ava, a writer, published their journey, her words a beacon. Sarah, older now, stood by the lake, feeling Elena's presence. The girls, now women, joined her, their laughter echoing. They'd shocked the world, not with wealth, but with love, a family forged in fire, forever unbroken.